Hello there, Dr. Alana DeGrassa. I want to say thank you and I give you an applause for taking the step to say, I will upgrade my life. What does it mean to upgrade? To upgrade means to raise something to a higher standard. When I think about five-star restaurants, I love going into that restaurant. I love the expectation that I have when I see the waiters come and address me by my first name, and I can see that they are attentive to every detail. They want to make sure that I'm seated well. They want to make sure that the environment is correct. They want to make sure that all of my questions have been answered. And when we think about that five-star treatment, a lot of times as women, as individuals, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, we forget that we can treat ourselves as though we are five-star. And the idea of being five-star can be kind of interesting, especially if you feel burnt out all the time, especially if you feel like you have given yourself to an industry or to your family or to individuals in your lives and you're just not getting back what you feel you are putting in. And sometimes we feel so lethargic, we don't feel like our value is that of five-star. But I want to remind you that when you were created, you had unique fingertips. I mean, everyone on the planet has completely distinctive fingertips. No one is the same. And because of that, we have really awesome traits that only are unique to us, that others don't have. We have interests and we have things that we naturally do well. And I want to encourage you to remember that you truly are five-star. So let's jump into this a little further. So when you say, I really want to upgrade, you're essentially saying, let me look at the different components in my life. If it's personal, you're looking at your friendships. You're looking at your personal contentment with who you are. You're looking at your ability to set goals and to go after them consistently, reaching many of those goals. If it's professional, you feel confident that the service you want to provide or the service you are providing is able to solve a client's problem. Or you're able to be refreshed and refueled, knowing that even if you've had some kind of stagnation in your business, that won't be the end all, that there is opportunity for growth and perhaps you just need to get in further alignment. So remember, indeed, that you are five-star. So in 2018, I had the pleasure of connecting with so many individuals and participants. And as you know, over the past 20 years, I've had the wonderful pleasure of serving students and executives and small business owners around how they can say, I will upgrade my life. And what I have found is that a lot of times when we are getting ready to do something new, we can feel really isolated because sometimes when we're around people that have known us for years, familiarity can play a role and you may have a secret desire that no one knows about. Maybe you really have a secret desire to tell your story about how you overcame something. Or maybe you have a secret desire to turn that thing you're so good at into an actual business that is consistent and that pays you well. But a lot of times we feel completely isolated. That's why it's so important to be amongst others that truly understand the level of powerhouse attitude you have towards reaching your goal. And I want to encourage you to find our tribe, hashtag IWBCC on Facebook. Let us know you joined the Upgrade My Life course. It stands for the International Women Build Confidence Conference. And men are allowed to also be a part of the community. But I want to let you know that we have served so many womenpreneurs, newpreneurs, people who've left industries and they were in transition and said, it's time for me to do something new. So can you write that hashtag UPML below? Join our community and say, I decided that I want to upgrade my life. We would completely appreciate having you. So I know a lot of times when we're thinking about our lives and we're thinking about truly upgrading, one of the biggest questions that people say to me is, can I really change? Can my life really change? Can I really start a business? Can I really do this? And let's talk about some of the reasons why reaching new goals can be a challenge. 1, I understand that sometimes you feel like you just don't have enough time. 2, Maybe you feel like you lack support. 3, financial obstacles can be something that can be in the way. 4, maybe you've had some really bad experiences that put a sour taste in your mouth. And 5, maybe you're someone who feels like, I just can't take it anymore. I've lost hope. Everything you're saying, Dr. Alana, is great, but I've just lost hope. And this is where that pill I always talk about, the pill of resentment, comes in. Because a lot of times, it's not that we don't know we can do better. It's not that we don't even have the intention to do better. It's simply that we have lost that desire. We've lost that fire, that fuel that is so needed in order for us to persist. And as your persistence guru, I want to tell you something. If you've had something burning in your heart to do for years, I want to encourage you, get back to that goal. Because if you've had this dream and desire for years, perhaps it's not that it didn't work. Perhaps it's just that you have to adjust or realign or shift some things within that goal. But let's stop taking that pill of resentment and let's start living vibrantly. I remember what it was like when people could only watch TV with black and white images. But then when the color TV came out, what a wonderful joy that was. To live with vibrance, just like watching things in color, is so important because thousands of individuals are feeling like they can have, indifferent lives where they're not necessarily pumped up to do great things. And I want to encourage you that there usually are so many people waiting to hear from you or access your product or access your service. They are literally just waiting for you to find them. So my question is, what can you do right now? What can you do right now in this moment to take action? So I want to let you know what, I understand that when you're going through a phase of trying to get to a new goal and you just feel so overwhelmed, I understand that there are other things and other variables that may stop us from reaching our goals. And one of them is procrastination. When we are overwhelmed, we just start slowing down. And we say, well, maybe I'm not sure of what I want to do. And we doubt, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to do. And so then we avoid taking necessary actions to get there. And I say we also experience internal shrinking. Internal shrinking is where you just slowly take this great goal that you've had and begin to make it smaller and smaller and smaller until it eventually disappears. And that yields depression, that yields to broken relationships sometimes, that yields to jealousy when we look out to others and we think that for them things are going well, it's just not going well for us. But I want to remind you, keep your why in mind. Keep that idea that you really can raise the bar in your life. Keep the ideas in mind that the same decisions it takes to be successful are the same, but just in an opposite direction, sequence of decisions it takes to be unsuccessful. So if we have a goal, the steps to not reach that goal is avoidance, is resentment, is procrastination, and inaction. So remember, keep your why. The fact that you can upgrade your life is very realistic. And I want to encourage you to stay with that thought in mind. So let's move on. And I hope that you are enjoying this discussion. So as you think about this, I want you to take copious notes. I want you to take a picture of an iceberg. I have a picture here of an iceberg. I'm going to show it to you guys. And when you look at an iceberg, it's really just a frozen glacier that is so vast and so large that the actual natural eye can only see this at the tip. So in the same way, sometimes people have only been looking at you for a given amount of time and they say, oh, I know that person. They're only good at this. But what if I told you there's so much more to you? And what would happen if you actually were able to develop that given goal, to develop yourself in a manner where people could experience you, your product, your service, your leadership in a different way? So let me give you some tips. If you're going to be a different person this time next year. I need you to master the investment of your time. Number 2, I want you to align relationships. So one of the things we have all our clients do is to take a real assessment. With our book, Tomorrow Can't Wait, take a real assessment and ask yourself, where am I? What are the things that are pulling me from being this best version of myself? Number 3, make a bold decision to put a value on your time. We all have 24 hours in a given day. Even if you had to work 8 hours, you still have all those hours at the other side of your day. What are you doing with those hours? How are you spending those hours? What are you talking about? And then I would encourage you to start to think about what types of decisions you need to make on your calendar in order to make some of the choices more palatable. So if I said, I really want to be an author, but I haven't scheduled to show up for it, I'm just crossing my fingers. I'm on the CMF plan. And I want to get you from just creating these great goals that sound great to creating tangible milestones to get there. So I want you to know that your time is just as important as your money investments. Your time is also an investment. So audit your actions over a month. Look at where you're spending your time. How much time are you spending, with social friends? How much time are you spending on the given task in your professional life? How much time are you spending giving back to yourself? How much time do you feel like you just burnt out? Look at how you are balancing your time. And again, go back to what types of decisions have you made over the course of the year that either help you get to your goal or divert you away from your goal. This is really important to consider. So now, if I were to ask you to pull out a journal, I want you to answer this question. What are your present goals? And how many people do you know that are 2 steps beyond where you presently are? Remember that friendship assessment I told you to think about? I want you to jot down all of your friends, the top 10, and I want you to rate them from a 1 being low to 10 being high. When you stop talking to those individuals, how do you feel? Do you feel pumped up and ready to go? Do you feel drained, or do you feel doubtful? This is really important to consider because research shows that our external influences play a very large part in how we perceive our ability to reach our goals. And I want to challenge you. I want you to do a self-assessment. How many of your relationships would you give a 5 and beyond? So these are relationships that you want to nurture, that you want to take time building. And then ask yourself, do you have a relationship deficit? And this just means you look at your list and you realize that more of your friendships fall between a 7, a 4, or a 3, or even 1. Now, this could be an awesome opportunity to say to yourself, I will upgrade my life. I will upgrade my relationships. I will upgrade my business. I will upgrade into new ideas. And I know sometimes we can get stuck with what's not working, but the real attitude to have is, now that I've done my assessment, now I can objectively look at how I want to spend my time for the duration of the year. And I know a lot of times my clients get a little bummed out and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I wasn't getting the support that I needed, or I really was hoping that this particular person would give me the support I need, but it never seems like they can. And I want to encourage you by saying, sometimes it's not that the people that love us or that we love, it's not that they don't care. Sometimes they don't have the resources to support us in the way that we're so desperately looking for. And sometimes they are essentially waiting on you, waiting to see how you're going to navigate. So I want to give you permission to say yes to yourself, even if no one else understands what it is that you're doing. A lot of inventors and a lot of innovative people would have never created the things that they created if they waited for other people to give them the flashlight to go. I want to encourage you, whatever's brewing in your heart for years, whatever books have been dormant in your basement, why not start doing something today? Wouldn't it be fabulous to smile and say, oh my goodness, I had this book idea for 13 years and finally I'm going to do something about it? So I want to challenge you. Move the cobwebs out of all of those things you have so desperately desired. So how are you doing? I hope you are feeling pretty pumped up as much as I am as we go through this training today. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you today to take a final thought. When you say, I want to upgrade, you don't have to upgrade alone. And time no longer has to be an issue, because truly the first step of change is to simply show up. One of the first things you can do is join the IWBCC community, as mentioned before. Just show up. We have videos there. We have dialogue there. We have awesome events for you to be a part of that are absolutely free. And what's wonderful is that we have a group of individuals that have become really close friends. They have bonded. They have grown in leadership. And guess what? They are from all over the United States and even outside. So you don't have to be alone anymore. And guess what? It's all on demand. So when you join our Facebook community, you'll be able to be in a very small knit, tight group where you'll see yours truly. You'll have dialogue from other people and other leaders in the group, and we would love to have you. So let's talk about this. I gave you one way to show up. Another way to show up to reach your goals is taking yourself seriously. A lot of times we say we want things, but we've got to take ourselves extremely seriously. Now, if you are a mom or a dad and your child was in front of you and they were in front of a car and the car started and it looked like the car was going to hit your child, you would immediately grab your child, drop everything, and have the urgency to push them into safety. Well, what if I said that you need to take your own sense of urgency and show up for yourself seriously as though it were 911? Like this is something you are super intentional about. And I want you, once you jot down these goals, to really stand by one or two of them and say, this year, this is the goal. I really want to upgrade. Now, a lot of times we have a lot of things we want to upgrade. We want to upgrade our personal lives. We want to upgrade our professional lives. But I will challenge you just to pick one area that you want to focus on at least for the first 90 days. One area. So maybe it's just finally being at peace with yourself. Maybe you've gone through something tumultuous and now is the time to say, it's time for me to move on. Or maybe you started a new business and it hasn't quite taken off. And maybe this is the time where you say, it's time for me to pull up my bootstraps and begin again. I'm not sure where you are, but I believe that if you're watching this, it's because something clicked within you to say, it's time for me to raise the bar. And I believe that you can do it. And again, you don't have to upgrade alone. So I want to remind you that you can join our tribe. And let me say this. One of the biggest reasons why people really don't take action is because they tell themselves, once I get everything lined up and perfect, then I'll begin. Or they'll say, oh, she sounds like she's talking to me, but she's probably talking to others because everything I've tried just doesn't work. I want to encourage you to know that if you're listening to this, if your heart is beating, if you felt a glimmer of hope that this message indeed was for you, will you take an action today? I want you to join the IWBCC tribe. I want you to schedule your one-on-one consultation with yours truly. So no automation, a real discussion with yours truly. And lastly, if you really are ready to upgrade, I want to invite you to enroll in my special Women Build Confidence group coaching program. We will have our initial group enrollment begin on March 23rd. And I would love to have you be a part of that semester program. We have 1 semester programs and we have 2 semester programs. And this is how it works. For our Women Build Confidence group experience, We have 2x2 Zoom meetings where we talk about themes relative to taking back your life, getting your swag back, leaving poor self-confidence, saying yes to yourself again, and establishing opportunities to build who you are as a woman and as a leader. Even better, you have access to a small group of powerhouse women just like yourself from all over the United States. And we not only have that opportunity, but we have tons of other online group experiences for you to have a sister circle or accountability, which we do find to be very important. So if this rings a bell to you, make sure you take an action as I've just given you 3 opportunities. 1, to join our IWBCC tribe. That is absolutely free. You'll be able to watch videos, get a homework assignments, and also take part in some of our free group coaching abilities. Number 2, I invite you to be a part of the Women Build Confidence group coaching experience. And number 3, you also have an opportunity to learn about our conferences and retreats. You know, we are kicking off an awesome opportunity for you to grow and go this year. So if you need to have a deep dive discussion with me, take an action today. Well, that's it for me. It was so wonderful having you here. Remember, you can say, it's time for me to upgrade my life.